The following review is intended for entertainment purposes and targeted for adult fans of the series.
And it's not good. Izzy. I kind of love doing this. I have to admit it. Hello there, heroes. I'm the Orange Ranger, and welcome to another Power Rangers Dino Fury Second Era episode review. This review is coming out after Christmas, and I know that because I wrote it on Christmas Eve, so I hope all of you had a very lovely holiday, or even just a good weekend. Now, before we get started with the review, I know that there's a couple of questions that I need to address that most of you have on your mind right now. Starting with...
Did you damage your face, Dana?
Yeah, I look just a little bit different than I did in the last video, don't I? I have decided, for the first time in my entire life, to try growing out a beard. There's a couple of different reasons for this. One is that a couple of my very good friends have been kind of repeatedly suggesting that I would look good with one, and after 16 years in various retail jobs with very strict appearance guidelines, I'm finally in a job where actually growing out a beard is okay. Also, I feel like I've been very clean-cut and clean-shaven my entire life, and overall I feel like I'm in kind of a season of growth and change right now, so I figured, why not? I'm always seen as fairly young, despite the fact that I'm going to turn 40 next month, and while appearing younger than I am at my age is generally seen as a good thing, there is something to be said for looking slightly more mature. Affectations aside,
my beard is not an affectation.
The other thing you may have noticed about the way things look is that they're finally all the way back to the way they used to be before. I am standing up once again. That's because I've gotten my hands on a new lavalier microphone for myself. The whole sitting down in the chair era was okay, but it just had this feeling of doing what I needed to do. You may have heard me mention there I've gotten a new job that has a little bit more income to it, so I've been able to get some more things that I wanted to get, and this is one of them. So we're fully back to normal. I can stand up and move around a little bit more than when I'm sitting in the chair. So, good! Good! Now, if I were approaching this episode solely based on its description, I would think we were in for more late-season, moral-of-the-day filler. Maybe with a legacy cameo tucked in, because the description does mention Carlos's key.
Shift the turbo!
But remember, Mr. Simon, executive producer Bennett, commented on one of my previous reviews that this was the first episode where we were charging towards the finale, story strong. So I'm casting kind of a cautious eye towards this episode, the 17th episode of Dino Fury Second Era, Things Unspoken.
Please make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can see all of our videos.
Yeah, and make sure you got your notifications set up by hitting that little bell icon so you get notified of whenever we post any brand new videos.
Right you. What he said was that if you'd like to support the channel in any way financially, you can consider checking us out on Patreon or Ko-fi at Orange Ranger Videos. Right you.
we are not off to a good start. We begin the episode with a comedy gag that I'm only going to even briefly describe here because of a cute joke at the end of it. Izzy is doing an exercise video for Buzz Blast that Jane is following along with in her office, seated on an exercise ball, and she bounces out the door and down the stairs and...
Yawn.
So, the cute joke at the end, Warden Garcia is there watching. Been a hot minute, Warden. And Izzy suggests that he should join her next time. Javi even offers to buy him a nice new gym outfit, but he says the spandex look isn't for him.
That is not spandex! The material is a self-assembling memory.
Okay, so now the episode can actually begin. Fern excitedly runs in, showing Izzy that she's gotten an acceptance letter to Oakdale College, an elite sports university. Of course, I checked, and while there is a city of Oakdale in California, there doesn't seem to be any kind of college or university in it. But actually, that tracks, because the way they describe this school...
That's not how it works.
Fern says that Oakdale is a very intense athletic training university where students take classes and train athletically for a full 9-hour day. The thing is, the United States doesn't really have anything like that. I mean, specifically athletic training focused colleges or universities. Now, beyond, of course, the schools, the colleges and universities in the United States, most of them have athletics, and for many of the larger schools, they can seem to be more focused on their sports programs than even their academics. Trust me, I am a proud graduate of the University of Florida. I know about schools with large athletic programs. But what Fern is describing really doesn't exist in the United States at the university level. What the U.S. does have, which is what the writers may have been thinking of or even confusing this idea with or maybe basing it on, are elite sports-based high schools. Being a native Floridian, one that comes to mind right away is IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida. That is a school where students focus on athletic training as well as their classes. It really is just like a college. Students room and board there and even pay ridiculous tuition fees. I looked it up. Trust me, take a look for yourself. But technically speaking, it is a high school, not a university.
And now for something completely different.
The next part of this is a little yada yada, so that's what I'm going to do. Yada yada, the school is incredible, it has this super amazing training pool, the warden's office has a pool, Izzy jokes that he means the forest flooding and the puddles that show up, but no, it turns out they're drilling drain pipes under the forest now, and the machine they're using to do so is pretty extra.
How do you do, fellow kids?
What?
I'll say this much, the key for it certainly is, it's such a prop key. Yellow and green, larger than a regular key. It looks like a play school key, to be honest with you. They all start to leave, but then Mucus and a Sporix beast, Quickspine, teleport in with some henchmen, and the monster orders them to start looking for something. A mime calls the Ranger hotline. The warden and the girls get separated. The warden finds Fern and gets her clear, while Izzy stays to fight. The other Rangers show up and everybody morphs. During the fight, we see why Quickspine is called Quickspine. The spine part is rather obvious, but the monster is also very fast, with speed streak powers. Ollie tries to use the sprint key to keep up, but even that is too slow. Mucus tries to stay out of harm's way, but weirdly, Izzy gets focused on taking her down, even chasing her into a playground. After knocking the mushroom down, Mucus summons more henchmen, and we get a nice drone-filmed fight scene. Izzy takes them all out rather easily, and then boots Mucus with a glowing foot kick attack that I don't think we've seen before. She retreats.
Run away! Run away! Run away!
Izzy hears Fern scream for help and runs over. She finds the two getting hassled by henchmen, the warden bravely holding them off with a flashlight. She makes quick work of them and then throws her voice to check if they're okay. Fern is worried and, oh, heroes. I'm glad I'm standing up so I can do stuff like this more effectively. Everything about this scene basically hits at once, and it's so good. I'm loving it. She can't find her girlfriend, Izzy, and she's not picking up her phone. She's terrified that something's happened to her. She loves her, and if anything has happened to her, she loves her. Yeah, she said it. One step beyond calling her her girlfriend, she loves her.
What's love got to do with it?
Quite a lot, actually. This is huge, not just for representation in general, but Power Rangers specifically. I was just saying it when Ollie and Amelia got together. Just say love. And here we are. She said it. She said she loves her. Fern realizes that she's never actually said this out loud before, certainly not to Izzy, and now she's even more concerned about making sure she's safe. Izzy is of course rocked by this, but manages to steady herself and promises Fern that she will personally make sure that Izzy is safe. It's so good and wholesome and cute and pure. I'm just eating it up.
Can we get back to politics, please? Yo.
Oh, right, we had a Ranger fight going on, didn't we? Ion tries Electro Mode, but nothing the Rangers do can seem to slow this Sonic-esque creature down. The monster knocks all of the Rangers down, but Mucus says that they've missed their chance. Javi asks their chance at what, but of course Mucus isn't telling, and they leave. At the base, Ollie laments that he just could not keep up with this monster, even while using the sprint sleeve.
Excuse me, the f*** did you just say?
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this last time. You may have noticed that I'm using some of JonTron's cutaway gags again. I don't feel like using tiny little clips from some of his past episodes really supports him all that much directly, especially since the clips I use really don't match what he's been doing lately. I still don't agree with his more controversial views. He's just got some funny one-liners. But anyway, yeah, Ollie, what was that? What now? The sprint sleeve? I could not remember at any point the show referring to the key armors as sleeves. Now I'm actually willing to admit that I may be completely wrong about this because I did a little research and the Dino Fury toy line does refer to them as sleeves. The sprint sleeve, the shield sleeve, etc. I still cannot make myself remember a single point where the show has called them sleeves before this, but
Moving right along.
So the Rangers discuss how to deal with this speedy monster, and Ion has a very Dungeons & Dragons approach to this. So let's talk about it in that kind of language. Let's say that the sprint sleeve is a +5 to athletics. Ollie's athletics are +2, so it's +7 with the sleeve. But maybe if Izzy used the sleeve instead, her athletics are already +5, so the sprint sleeve would make it +10.
I love Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, that really did kind of overcomplicate things. I just can't resist the chance to talk about Dungeons and Dragons whenever I can. Let me try to put that in a far less complicated and definitely less geeky way. Maybe if Izzy uses the sprint sleeve, she'll have a better chance of catching the monster because she is naturally faster than Ollie. Ollie challenges her to a race to test that, which he would lose badly. But Izzy's actually not even listening, texting Fern to let her know that she's okay. The others can sense that something is going on here and they ask her about it, and she pulls an envelope out of her jacket. Her own acceptance letter to Oakdale. The other Rangers are thrilled, but ask her why she hasn't brought it up before. That's because she's already turned the offer down for the best possible reason. And seriously, this may be the character development that finally fully redeems Izzy. I yelled at my developmentally disabled cousin for being a few minutes late to a training session, Garcia. She turned it down because she can't do that program and be a Power Ranger. I adore this kind of development. It prioritizes being a Power Ranger, a superhero, saving the world over personal desires, and what I really love about the way that it was presented is that it was obvious. Izzy did not have to debate this. You know, the way her brother had to debate fighting a monster because it might make him less famous. It's the right thing to do. It's the obvious decision. So she's already made that decision. She knows that her dad is not going to understand, and just think of Fern. They have this chance to take their relationship to the next level, going to college together. And Izzy is saying no to that and can't even tell her why. This is the kind of please don't tell anyone that I actually support. Izzy is going to tell them when she can figure out how to tell them, and anyone else telling them could make things really difficult for her. Heck, in this exact situation, I was going to say that I'd actually be fine with Izzy lying about this, saying she didn't get into the school. But knowing Warden Garcia, he'd probably call the school ranting and raving, and they'd spill the beans. Over at Area 62, we find out what it is the bad guys were looking for. A key. Uh-oh. Hopefully not that key. Yeah, that key. They're looking for the Warden's key for some reason that's not even explained by the end of the episode. 2 quick notes on this little fast villain scene. Number 1, it's still really creeping me out when they reference this whole Sporix family thing. In this case, it's Void Queen wondering why these monsters couldn't manage to snag one little key to help their Sporix brothers and sisters. Number 2, at several points through this episode, Quickspine sounds more than a little bit like Scrozzle, but I checked and they're voiced by Paul Waggett, who was a judge in Winning Attitude. Izzy shows up for training with Fern, promising that she won't disappear this time, which is a promise that she absolutely cannot guarantee. Fern starts to try to tell her that she loves her. It's gotta be weird standing and listening to someone working up to telling you that they love you when you already know for other reasons. When Warden Garcia comes stomping up and drops the full name. Isabella Naya Garcia.
Jackson David Isbell!
So, you remember why I said that it wouldn't really work to have Izzy lie about this? Well, yeah, Warden Garcia kind of jumped the gun on even me, calling the school now to find out why his daughter hadn't been admitted and learning the truth. Funny enough, this actually reminded me of a very quick personal story that actually even relates to Christmas. I applied to the University of Florida with the early admission program, something they don't actually even do anymore, where a student could apply early and commit to attending only that school if they were accepted to that school and it being the only one they were applying to at the time, in exchange for getting a decision on admission by November, December, instead of like February or March with the regular application process. Mid-December came and I hadn't heard anything from the school. So, being the enterprising news gatherer that I was, I called the school to find out what was going on and was informed that I had been admitted. I excitedly called my parents to tell them the news and found out from my stepdad that my mother had intercepted my acceptance letter, framed it, wrapped it, and was planning to give it to me as a surprise Christmas present. A surprise that I ruined. Though in my defense, if I was trying to pull off this kind of plan, I would have told me that there was some kind of administrative delay at the school that they had called about and letters were getting slowed up in the mail or something. It was only because I hadn't heard anything that I investigated. Still, oops. So yeah, the school told him how they admitted Izzy, and she turned the admission down. And he tells her this right in front of Fern. And of course, Izzy cannot explain why. She just nebulously says that she's got a lot going on right now, and she doesn't think it's the right time to go to a school like that. The warden steps away to answer a call from Izzy's mother, and Fern just asks her, why? And that is still not a question that Izzy can answer. Fern goes from almost telling Izzy that she loves her to saying that she doesn't think she can be in a relationship where they keep secrets from each other. Ouch.
How could this happen to me?
So, what could make this day better for Izzy? How about another monster attack? She's not able to morph, so Warden Garcia jumps in front of his daughter and takes a hit for her, dropping the prop key, which the monsters grab. His leg is injured, and she runs over to try and help him. The other Rangers teleport in, Garcia not seeing this because, ow, my leg, and quickly piece together what's going on. Izzy gets her dad up and keeps him facing away from the Rangers as they morph, but he turns and very carefully watches the battle as they limp away. I was going to use the cutaway gag plot point right here, but spoilers, it's not, at least not for this episode. She gets him to a safe spot in the stadium and makes a splint out of a hurdle bar and a torn-up jacket. He takes the chance to apologize and demonstrates character development from his interactions with Javi. Her life is her own business. She does not owe him an explanation for her decisions. However, she does owe Fern an explanation, because Fern really cares about Izzy and was hurt by the secret. Meanwhile, the Rangers can't implement their idea of having Izzy outrun the monster, so Ollie brains up a new idea. If they can't go faster than the monster, maybe they can slow the monster down. Ollie pitches a quicksand idea to Zato, who likes the way he thinks. He goes Dino Knight and uses the cushion and mist keys to create a quicksand pit. Cushion. Mist. Quicksand? If you say so. With the monster trapped, the Rangers use a very visually impressive Dino Fury Force attack, their CGI Zords blowing the monster up. The explosion is more violent than usual, and then Quickspine grows instead. The Rangers treat this as an unusual development instead of the way things go more often than not. Zato asks Solon to send some Zord vibes. Their gag, not mine. And for some reason, she sends the T-Rex, Terra, and Mosa Zords. But hey, those are the three that make up the Primal Megazord, so that works out. The Megazord is faster than the monster, despite the lack of any logical reason that it should be. The Terrazord has cold powers. I get that it puts wings on the back of the Megazord, but it's not flapping those wings to go any faster. Anyway, a punch into space and a Primal Ultra Blast, another #yawn Zord fight. Despite Zato specifically saying, let's add this one to our Sporix collection, it's Void Queen that catches the Sporix, who coughs up the key she needs. Back at the base, the Garcias report that their dad's leg has healed, so either we've had a minor time skip or that injury was less severe than it first seemed. You make the call. And for some reason, the Rangers just assumed that that key was destroyed in the Sporix explosion. Ollie steals a page from my script for bad guy naming, though he just calls them the Voids instead of the Royal Voids, like I do. Amelia asks Izzy how things are with Fern and the whole college thing, and it's not good. Fern is ignoring Izzy's calls, and Izzy found out on social media. In fact, now that I think about it, she said I found out on social media, which avoids naming a specific service for licensing, but sounds kind of awkward now that I think back on it, that Fern is leaving for college early. Early as in this afternoon. She wonders if she should just let her go or take one more chance to try to make things right. The other Rangers tell her if she feels the need to make things right, she needs to go now. Solon does her a solid and tracks the buses going from Pine Ridge to Oakdale, seeing that there's one more bus and it hasn't left yet, so she still has time. She leaves with the Rangers' encouragement. For some reason, Izzy teleported to her bike to ride that to the bus stop, instead of just teleporting to a secret spot somewhere near the bus stop so she could just walk out. Seems like it would have saved her some time. She catches up with Fern and still doesn't explain. She does try to make it right. She apologizes for keeping the decision a secret, but still can't explain the motivation behind the decision. The thing is, with Fern, her concern was more about how the news made her feel. When she thought about the logic of it, the only thing that had changed between Izzy's initial dreams of getting into this college and now was the fact that Fern got into the college. So she felt like she was the reason that Izzy turned it down. The bus arrives and time grows short, so Izzy says the one important thing that she needs to tell Fern. She loves her too. Aww, what a sweet, tender, caring moment. Hang on. 2? Yeah, Fern catches this. And after so many seasons and episodes of me yelling at a character on Power Rangers to put the pieces together, Fern puts the pieces together. It's pretty obvious. The only person that she told that she loves Izzy is the Green Ranger. Izzy plays this coyly, explaining the true motivations behind her decision if she was a Power Ranger. With the truth out, Fern completely understands and supports the decision. We even get a very cute little ending as the bus pulls away and Fern calls through the window, "May the power protect you!" Of course, I'm not entirely sure how Fern would be aware of that phrase in association with the Power Rangers, but that's thinking too much about things, even I can admit, so instead I'm just going to balance these scales. Episode 17, Things Unspoken. Pros, such a good take on the secret identity quandary. Tessa Rao's acting knocked it out of the park, and yes, the progressiveness of the story. Cons, really still another filler episode, Warden Garcia's awkward presence, and Oakdale College is confusing. Welcome to Opposite Land, where we wear hats on our feet, we eat water, drink steak, and I score filler episodes highly and story episodes lowly. Things Unspoken gets 4 scales out of 5. This episode is like last week, but even better, in terms of taking something from that generic idea bucket and doing something really good with it. The issues involved with having a secret identity are a trope not just to Power Rangers, but to superhero fiction in general. But just meshing that in with this progressive relationship and doing a really heartstring-pulling story about what keeping that secret can cost you. But you do not get the most out of that kind of story unless you have an actor or actress that can sell heartbreak, and heroes did Tessa have me reaching for the Kleenex. She really showcased a range of emotions: happiness, sadness, anger, frustration. But her best scenes in this episode were the ones where it really seemed like she was about to lose Fern. She just perfectly conveyed that anxious terror, that feeling that you're about to lose something that means so much to you. Excellently done, Tessa. And I have mentioned it several times in regards to this relationship, but it bears repeating. Such powerful kudos to Simon Bennett, the writers, the producers, the actors, and everyone really at Hasbro for going forward with this story, having one of your core heroes in a same-sex relationship. That representation means so much to so many. And there's a special powerful irony, for lack of a better term, that I have been begging a Ranger to say love for so long now. And the one that finally does is Izzy, to her girlfriend. Ah, but Mr. Bennett, I praise with one hand, and I criticize with the other. You expressed that this was going to be a solid straight run of story episodes right to the end, but this really was a filler story with a story hook at the end. Around here, we call that pulling a ninja steal. It really is hard to complain about this because this episode really was so good. But this is still episode 17 out of 22 for this season. I will pull back on this a little if that key is more important than it seems to be at the moment. But for the moment, what we got here was an amazing Fernsey episode that feels like it was awkwardly merged with the Daddy-Daughter Garcia episode. The Warden carries the MacGuffin that pushes the plot forward, and he has a meaningful presence every time he's on screen. It's just kind of awkward. Izzy is sort of pulled in two different directions, but they're not two different directions. It's just like there's two different people that she has to check in on in the episode. I don't really know if it's bad, it's just a little emotionally busy. Using this format, a while back I decided that I needed 3 pros and 3 cons no matter how good or bad an episode was, and that means sometimes the third of either one can be a reach depending on the quality of the episode. I almost went with the boring Zord fight for this one, but that's not really a specific complaint to this episode. That's kind of a general complaint against Dino Fury as a whole. So instead, yeah, Oakdale College really comes off as the plot device that it is when it's something that doesn't even really exist in the United States where the show is based. Doesn't the story work just as well if Fern gets admitted to USC on a track scholarship, or the University of really far away from Pine Ridge to avoid licensing? In the end, I can't mind this being a filler-type episode because the story was just so well written and the performances so well acted. But I'm starting to get a real clock's ticking kind of a feeling for this season. There are only 4 episodes left and there's a lot of story to wrap up. Let's take a peek at the 18th episode of Dino Fury Second Era, Guilt Trip, to see if they get it started. Ollie is having such a great time hanging out with Amelia that he begins to neglect his mom. He must learn not to take her for granted. You see, there's a lot to unpack from that, but this is not the time for that. That's going to do it for another Power Rangers Dino Fury Second Era episode review. Thank you, heroes, so much as always for watching. Now that the video's done, you can let me know what you thought of this episode, as well as my review of it, as well as my new beard, down in the comments below. While you're down there, make sure you smack that thumbs up button to let me know that you enjoyed this video. And if you'd like to financially support my channel in any way that's not Patreon or Ko-fi, you can check out my Teespring store. I don't want to mess with the lav mic too much now, but you can get hats, shirts, socks, masks, etc., with both the old and new Orange Ranger Videos logos. Check out my Twitter, or I'm putting a link here, or something with a link, Orange Ranger Videos, Teespring. Until next time, heroes, may the power protect you. This thing really is fuzzy. And it's not good. Izzy. Hello there, heroes! I'm the Orange Ranger, and welcome to another Power Rangers Dino Fury Second Era episode review. Hello there, heroes! I'm the Orange Ranger, and welcome to another Power Rangers Dino Fury Second Era episode review. This review is coming out after Christmas. Pretty easy sentence. Yeah, I look just a little bit different than I did in the having a nice it's not wireless. But remember, I forgot to mention the fact that I'm also wearing a lav. We'll find a place to work that in a moment. Fern excitedly comes running in and up to Izzy, and we're doing that take again. Now, beyond a shadow of a doubt, the US does have 3 ducks in a tutu. The US doesn't really have anything like that, and this is what happens when you ad-lib. Now, beyond the shadow of a doubt, and the new machine is the thing. But the monster is also very fast, with speed streaking powers. Powers. Izzy hears Fern scream for help and goes running. Scream? She loves her and... She can't find her girlfriend Izzy, and she's not... She can't find her girlfriend Izzy, and is worried that something's happened to her. I don't know what to say about that, though. You may have noticed I'm using some of John Trunk's... Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this last time. I cannot talk today. Let's say that Ollie's athletics are a +2. And if he... Let me try to put that in a far less complicated and definitely less geeky kind of a sense. I can't. Yeah, that did kind of overcomplicate things. I just really can't resist an urge to talk about a punch into space and a primal ultra blast, another yawn thing that I clap. The Megazord is faster than the monster, despite there being any logical